החודש וסיין תוכן יאילס ושחוידש נעלה החודש וסיין תוכן יאילס ושחוידש נעלה מזבח החודש וסיין Tavachin v'oylach Nosh chodesh nale nale Mizrei chodesh v'tzion tochin Nosh chodesh nale olam Mizrei chodesh v'tzion tochin Yailas v'shchodesh nale Mizbeach ha'tziyah Tavachin v'oylach Nosh chodesh nale nale Chodesh Tov should be a good month for all of Am Yisrael. Tammuz is usually a heavy month. It's the month that the Meraglim were going through the land of Eretz Yisrael. The month of Tammuz is the month of Reuven, Ru'u. It's about seeing. It's the month that we need to fix our seeing. We need to fix our seeing. We have to learn how to look with a good eye. Who wants to get the door? You have to look with a good eye. So easy to look critical, you know. This is not, you know, that's how we're trained all the time. It's like, you know, being critical and so on. And that was also the mistake of Korach. Korach was very, very much into who's on a higher madrega. And it's true as far as Kodesh is concerned, as far as you know, like he was a holy man, you know. That Reb Shlomo always used to say that not every Yid is maybe not every Yid is Kodesh, but every Yid is Kodesh HaKodashim. In other words, you know, if somebody comes with a korban chatos, with a sin offering, you know, so Korach's response would be something like, "Oh, you know, look at what you did. You know, you did such an avera and so on." Whereas Aaron the Kohen would see Pashut Yid that Mamish is broken and the depth of his being, he's Mamish wanting to connect, and he would have the Yid realize that he is connected and so on. And that's a gift that was given, the gift of the ability to do this was given particularly to Aaron and to the Kohanim. And that's what Korach didn't understand. He was just looking at who's more holy. Okay, so it should be a good Chodesh. We should be blessed to see with the right eye, to see the good, to see the Nekudot Tavot, to see all the good things that people are doing and all the positive. That's the avodah. Yeah. Okay. So, 1 second. I just got to make an adjustment here. Can I go onto another screen on Facebook without losing this? It's just that there's someone showed me how to do it so that if a phone call comes in the middle, it doesn't cut off the Facebook.
It doesn't if a phone call
But it shouldn't. Yeah, there's a way to do it.
I don't know.
No, I know how to do it. I just don't want to lose it. Okay, let's hope we don't get any phone calls. I don't want to lose the beginning. Okay. We were on Daf Reish Pei. So the Rebbe was talking about the fact that, so we're talking about the holiness of speech, right? We're talking about being careful not to speak Lashon Hara against anybody, against Am Yisrael. And the fact is that Moshe Rabbeinu, when he was standing there by the snare, he says to Hashem, "V'hein lo ya'aminu li," but they're not going to believe me, right? So Hashem gave him two signs. One is that he had him throw the stick down and it turned into a snake. The other one was that he had him put his hand into his bosom and it came up with Saras. And both of these were simonim that he had spoken Lashon Hara, right? So why is all this written in the Torah? This is written in the Torah to teach us how much you have to be careful not to speak Lashon Hara against Am Yisrael. So look at Daf Reish Pei. Ota sha'a diber Moshe shelo kehogen. I think we read these couple of paragraphs, but we'll go over them. And so what's being said over here? What's being said is like this. At that moment, Moshe Rabbeinu spoke improperly. ויש לומר שהסיבה לכך שאותה שעה דיבר משה שלא כהוגן, we can say that the reason, so why did Moshe Rabbeinu speak improperly? Why did he speak improperly? And the reason is, he ach v'rak l'harot derech tshuva. It's plain and simple to teach us how to do tshuva. And this is similar to what the Gemara says about David HaMelech. The Gemara says that the Vid was not ra'ui to do that thing that he did with the wife of Uriah Hachiti. But in a certain sense, like it was Min HaShamayim that he should do this avera. Why? In order to teach people to do tshuva. Because if somebody is going to come to the Rebbeinu Shalom and say, I wasn't even able to do tshuva, Hashem is going to say, David HaMelech was able to do tshuva, you were also able to do tshuva. So here the Rebbe is saying is that Moshe Rabbeinu spoke improperly because it's in the Torah in order to teach us how to do tshuva. And this is alluded to in the continuation of the psukim, of the verses. The Torah itself is already letting us know how to do the fixing for having spoken negatively. It says, "Vayomer Hashem al Moshe shlach yadcha ve'echos b'znavo v'yehi lemateh." Put your hand out and grab the serpent, grab the snake by its tail, and it came back into being a mateh, being a stick. In other words, shehazanav moreh al hashiflut biyoter. The tail is suggesting to us the lowest level of shiflut, of humility, of feeling like not of the total opposite of gaiva. Aderech mashikatuv, like we say in the davening, v'nafshika afar lakol tiyeh, every day at the end of Shemoneh Esrei, right? We say v'nafshika afar lakol tiyeh, let my nefesh be like dust to everybody. In other words, even if somebody steps on me, it shouldn't hurt me. I shouldn't. Like in other words, because I'm dust. Because by strengthening your humility and your shiflut and your lowliness, nitbatel hanachash v'chazar liyot mateh. In other words, it's through the humility that the Nachash, the symbol of Lashon Hara, is Nevutel, is nullified. Mateh Elokim, and what is this mateh? This is a staff of God. She'et hamateh hazeh tikach biyadecha asher taseh bo et haotot. Right? So the Nachash is bottled, and it becomes back, comes back into being a mateh, becomes back into being a staff. Right? So, what's the motivation often for speaking Lashon Hara? There could be different motivations, different reasons why somebody is speaking Lashon Hara, but basically, Lashon Hara is like, oh, you think so and so is so special. I can tell you a few things about him, right? He's not so special. So, going a little bit deeper, what's my interest? Is my interest that you should know that he's not special, or is my interest to know that you should know that don't give him more respect than you're giving me? You know? It's really all about my gaiva, and so this is the Indian that that if you catch yourself speaking Lashon Hara, go back into being humble, right? Otherwise, it's going to bring bad results. And also, if somebody speaks Lashon Hara about you, you can certainly take the person aside and speak to them and say, hey, why are you going around telling, what are you doing going around telling people things like this? But also, in other words, to prevent yourself from wanting to take revenge through speaking Lashon Hara against that person, right? Think about, like Avraham Avinu said, "V'anochi afar ve'efer." I'm just dust and ashes. I'm dust and ashes. Who am I? And there's all kinds of situations where a person sometimes you're just in the presence of somebody who's like really uptight, and it's getting you uptight also. So just think about, don't worry about yourself. Don't worry about how it's making you feel. Just, you're like dust and ashes. The thing about dust is, doesn't matter how many times you're going to step on me, I'm still going to be dust. In other words, you can't wipe me out completely. I'm dust. I'm okay. Yeah, I'm not anything big. I'm nothing to show off about. I'm just dust. And you spoke against me. And like I told you the other week, I don't know if you did it, you weren't here. I told you the story about I saw in one of this forum that in some Besmedrish once, one guy insulted somebody else terribly in public. And the guy was about to get back at him. You heard the story, and so the Rebbe of that place, I don't know which Rebbe it was. He said, before you get angry. So I want you to know the following. It says that Hamal ben Pnei Chavera Barabim Ki'ilu Halgo. If somebody embarrasses somebody in public, it's like as if you killed him. So that means that you just now experienced being killed because you were embarrassed in public. So we believe in Hashgacha Pchatit, we believe in divine providence. So if it happened, it means that Min HaShamayim, it was meant to happen. It means it was decided in Shemayim that you, for one reason or another, you deserve to have Einish Movis, to have been put to death. But you're fortunate in that you were given this kind of a death, that you weren't killed physically, you were just killed for a few minutes by being embarrassed, right? So be happy that you got rid of an Einish Movis. You got rid of an Einish Movis. I don't know if she.
Got off easy.
That you got off easy. You got off easy, right? So don't ruin it by trying to take revenge. Don't ruin it by speaking Lashon Hara. No, they left. I guess they were there, but somebody definitely came up through the door. Anyway, so don't ruin it. You got off easy. You got your Einish Mavis, and now be happy that you have the chance to continue doing something positive. So v'harei hadvarim kal v'chomer. So the Rebbe says that, right, that the way to fix having spoken Lashon Hara is to grab the serpent by the tail, by the schwanz. What's the other word that you used for schwanz? Vital. And meaning to say, go back to being be'anove or be'shiftless. V'arei advarim kal v'chomer ben beno shel kal v'chomer. And this is kal v'chomer, son of a kal v'chomer. Im lifnei matan Torah ta'an HaKadosh Baruch Hu v'henish al dibur l'shon hara al bnei Yisrael. If before the Torah was given, Hashem complained and actually punished Moshe Rabbeinu for having spoken Lashon Hara against the Jews, even though in fact the Yidden were in not a very good place. And the Rebbeinu Shalom emphasized the merit of our ancestors, right? When he sent Moshe Rabbeinu to say, Anochi Hashem Elokecha Elokei Avraham Elokei Yitzchak Elokei Yaakov, in other words, what is Hashem doing? Hashem is focusing on the fact that even though you're not on the Madrega that it will be better for you to be on, still you are a descendant of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. You have schus ovos, you have the merit of your ancestors. B'nei Yisrael hem ma'aminim b'nei ma'aminim. And as it says, that a Yid is, what is a Yid? A Yid is a believers, and Yidden are believers and descendants of believers. Halachas kama v'kama. So if all this happened to Moshe Rabbeinu before Matan Torah, before the mitzvah of speaking Lashon Hara was given, so halachas kama v'kama. So then all the more so, lacharei Matan Torah, after the Torah was given, shekadosh baruch hu bachar az b'bnei Yisrael liyot l'olam segula. At Matan Torah, Hashem chose the children of Israel to be His special nation, segula mikol ha'amim, special from among all the other nations. Mamlechet Kohanim v'Goy Kadosh, a kingdom of Kohanim and a holy nation. So halachas kama v'kama, that you should be very, very careful not to speak any Lashon Hara against Am Yisrael. And especially that ever since the Torah was given until this very day, throughout many generations, Mikashim b'nei Yisrael Shmo shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu ba'olam, the Yidden are always Mikadesh, sanctify Hashem's name in the world. Like it says, Yaridishu Shmi v'higdishu etz Kadosh Yaakov et Elokei Yisrael Yaritzu. They will sanctify my name, and they will sanctify the Holy One of Yaakov and the God of Israel. And this is achieved with every activity that we do in learning Torah and doing mitzvahs. Beginning with a Yid saying Shema Yisrael, that with this statement of Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, מסרו נפשם אלפים ורבבות מישראל על קידוש השם במשך כל הדורות. Thousands and tens of thousands of Jews gave their lives for Kiddush Hashem, for sanctifying Hashem's name throughout all the generations, ובפרט בדור האחרון, and especially in this last generation. שנהרגו 6 מיליון יהודים על קידוש Hashem, 6 million Jews were killed על קידוש Hashem, meaning to say that what, well, let me just finish the sentence. Hashem yikom nikmatam avadav hashafuch, and may Hashem avenge the blood of his servants that has been spilled. So the Rebbe's shita was that actually there was a big machlokes between the Rebbe and another one of the Gedolim concerning this, that Reb Shach, Oliver Shalom once said, he said that if the Jews of one of our cities here in Eretz Yisrael, if they're not going to do tshuvas, chas v'sholom, going to bring another such event like we had during the Second World War. So the Rebbe right away, the Lubavitch Rebbe, by the way, his yortzeit is going to be on Tuesday, and if you have a chance to go to a Farbrengen on Monday night or on Tuesday, you should mamish do that. 23rd yortzeit, Gimel Tammuz. So he mamish right away came out in this strong declaration. He said that every Yid who died in the Holocaust died al Kiddush Hashem. In other words, they died al Kiddush Hashem. Was everybody religious? He said that everybody died only for one reason, because they were Jews. And to say that if so-and-so or such and such people in such and such a city, if they're not going to do tshuva, it could chas v'sholem bring such a terrible situation again, is implying, is almost implying that what happened during the war, that there was some kind of religious reason for it. The Rebbe said there's no religious reason that you can explain why this happened. It only happened, and everyone, even the Yid who maybe claimed that he didn't believe anything, he also died al Kiddush Hashem. He died because he was a Jew. He was murdered because he was a Jew. So he's saying that, and what did these Jews say before they died? They said, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. They all were saying that. Harei bevadai bevadai. So then, certainly, most certainly, shebetzeiruf kol inyanei haTorah ve'hamitzvot. The Bnei Yisrael b'meshach kol hadorot. When you put together all the Torah and the mitzvahs of the Yidden that the Yidden did throughout the generations, asher kol pu'ula v'pu'ula kayemet v'nitzchit le'olam. Every holy activity, every mitzvah, every word of Torah that was studied throughout the generations, it's eternal, it's kayam, and it's nitzchi, it's zchuta omedet la'ad, ad sof kol hadorot. And the merit of all this Torah and all these mitzvahs is an eternal merit for all generations. The hipucho, and the opposite of that is bidvarim bilti ritzuyim, concerning things that are not desirable. Sheinam ela lefi sha'ah, they're only temporary. K'fi she'ivticha Torah shesof Yisrael la'asot tshuva, like the Torah promises that the Yidden will do tshuva in the end. Ukvar asu tshuva, and the Yidden already did tshuva. So ein l'sha'er godel zchutam u'malatam shel kol b'nei Yisrael. We cannot evaluate the greatness of the merit and the greatness of the level of all of Bnei Yisrael, of all the Yidden. It's beyond your ability to measure it. Ve'ech efshar lahotzi shem ra al banav shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So how could you possibly speak badly about Hashem's children? Hefech psak din Toratenu HaKdosha, Torat Emet. It's the opposite of a psak halacha, the psak din of our holy Torah, which is the Torah, the Torah of truth. Shekol echad ve'echad, that every single Jew, gam im chas v'shalom machriz lehefech, even if he publicly announces that he doesn't believe. Even if he publicly says the opposite. The psak din is that what said that every yid rotzeh liyot mi Yisrael, every yid wants to be a yid, rotzeh likayim kol ha-mitzvot. This is a psak din from the Rambam. Rotzeh likayim kol ha-mitzvot, wants to keep all the mitzvot, lizrachek min ha'avirot, and to stay away from averos, from transgressions. V'yitzrohu shetakfo, and how come he's doing transgressions? How come he says the opposite? It's because he's mamish the Yetzer Hara got him. This is brought in the Rambam. The halacha is, and unfortunately it's a halacha that gets misused and abused sometimes, that in the case of when a husband and wife need to get the divorce, so sometimes it happens that there is a man that refuses to give a get, even though the Beis Din said he should, and he keeps his wife in a gunnet. He keeps her sort of like locked up, chained up, so to speak, that she can't go get married to somebody else. So now this is a halacha. This is the way the husband has to be the one to give the get, and he has to do it willingly. So what if he doesn't want to do it? So the Rambam says they would take the guy and they would do some like, smash his hand in the doorway or something like that, like mamish, give him a lot of pain. Ad she omer rotzeh ani, until he says, I want to give her a get. So everybody asks the question, what do you mean? He doesn't want to. You forced him. So what value is in his saying rotzeh ani? He just doesn't want to have the pain, right? So the Rambam says, because the fact is that every Yid wants to be a Yid, and every Yid wants to keep the Torah and mitzvahs. But some people need a little bit of help till they realize that they want to. Fact of the matter is that you see that people, like, when chas v'sholem, it shouldn't happen to anyone anymore, but when they get sick in their old age, or when they have some kind of a crisis, they wake up and they start doing tshuva. I know a guy from Montreal who was driving on the Metropolitan, and he got hit by a truck in the back. And this is like an elevated, an overpass. Mamish's car went over the barrier, and it got caught on the back wheels, and he's there sitting in his car, hanging by the back wheels. And he told me, he mamish did tshuva then. He said, Rebbeinu Shalom, I don't care what I've done until now. From now on, I'm going to be Ovid Torah and mitzvahs. So it's not that before he didn't want to. He always wanted to be a Yid. But he needed that crisis to wake him up, It's and this is also for this happens by non-Jews also. Like you think that you love your whole life, you live koyechi v'otzim yodi, it's my strength and it's my prowess. I don't need anybody. I can do everything on my own. And then all of a sudden you realize, oh, I'm getting older. I'm not so strong anymore. Maybe it's a good idea to believe that there's some kind of life after death, Maybe just in case, just in case they were right, and maybe I should do some tshuva, right? Okay, so some people, never need that, but it's not that they didn't want to do tshuva before. they were under the power, under the influence of the Yetzer Hara. They didn't realize it. All of a sudden, they realized that the Yetzer Hara was a big liar. So now they say, Rotzeani, I do want. Balachat kama v'kama. And all the more so, we're in the fourth line in the middle. You see the abbreviation, V'al achat kama v'kama. And even all the more so, b'dorenu zeh, in this generation of ours, she'ele she'enam mekayimim Torah u'mitzvot, Yidden who are not keeping Torah and mitzvahs, have a din of ketinuk shenishba bein hagoyim shehu ke'onus. And this is pretty much a psak that the Rebbe made, but not only the Rebbe. He's saying that any Jew today who's not keeping Torah and mitzvahs has a din of tinuk shenishba, like a child who was captured by the Gentiles and was raised by them, and it's considered honest, it's considered like totally against his will. In other words, he's not guilty for doing any of his averos because he doesn't know better. And so how far does that go? What about somebody who learned in yeshiva and did learn Torah and mitzvahs and stopped being, being religious, so to speak, went off the derech? I can't stand that phrase, but what about somebody like that? Do we say that this applies to him too, that he's ketinik shenishba ben hagoyim? And I believe that we do, because see, the thing is that we don't have a Beis Hamikdash today. Hashem is so completely concealed. So even if the guy went to Jewish education and he was told all these things and so on, it's a lav dafka that it was communicated to him in the way that he needed to hear it, okay? And it's like like even back in the time of the Beis Hamikdash, for example, when the Torah speaks about some heavy consequences if somebody was Mechalel Shabbos, for example, if somebody was eating on Yom Kippur. So, but the only way that the Bestin can actually do something about it is if two witnesses warn the person, like right before they did the Avera, and it's clear to them that this person really understands that there's a Rebbeinu Shalom, really understands that the Rebbeinu Shalom doesn't want to do this, and he goes ahead and he says, I don't care, I'm going to do it anyway. And he does it like almost like immediately within seconds after having been warned. Only then could the Bestin do something about it. But otherwise, the Bestin isn't allowed to do anything about it. The Bestin isn't allowed to give him any punishments. Why? Because maybe he didn't really understand. And even though the witnesses warned him and they said, you understand what we're saying to you? And he says, yes. And then 5 minutes later, he goes ahead and does it anyway. It doesn't mean, you don't know for sure that he understands it, that he really got it. It's possible that in those 5 minutes, all his doubts came up again and he really doesn't get it. So the Rebbe is saying that, especially in our generation, you got to make sure that you don't speak against Am Yisrael, that you don't speak against Yidden, because they're ketinik shenishba. They're like a child that was taken away in captivity, and they really don't get it. Look, let's face it. I once read years ago a statistic that by the time American kids come to grade 1, they've already watched 10,000 hours of television. It's crazy, the amount of time. It's unbelievable. So, but even if you want to say 1,000 hours, doesn't matter. People think that, that over here, like, people make accusations about religious brainwashing. Believe me, 1,000 hours of television is heavy-duty brainwashing, or brain schmutzing,
Yes.
And even 500 hours, even 100 hours, even 10 hours,
Even 1 hour.
Okay, It's so a kid, like he's been inundated, drowned in this culture that we live in. And so for the kid, like, somebody comes and says, there's another world, and there's a Rebbeinu Shalom, and there's this, and there's that, and you got to be careful with what you do, and so on, so on. Kid looks and says, everything I'm exposed to says the opposite. It's all about just going and having a good time, right? So the kid is a Tinnik Shenishba. But Be'etzim, a Yid, wants to be connected with the Rebbeinu Shalom. A Yid wants to do mitzvahs. So the real avodas Hashem that we need to do every day is to get in touch with that aspect of our being, is to be in touch with the fact that I have a neshama that I want to do mitzvahs. And also shigam heim meleim mitzvot keriman. And even the simplest Yid who's not religious is also, the Gemara says, is full of mitzvahs like a pomegranate has seed. And all the Yidden are being Mekadesh Shem Shemaim, are sanctifying Hashem's name when they say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, and they say this. And there's a whole pasuk that says Maseh Yadai Yagdishu Shmi, my creations, my Yidden, Yagdishu Shmi, and they sanctify my name. And it says V'amich Kulam Tzadikim, and it also says, right, there's a pasuk in Yeshayahu, V'amich Kulam Tzadikim, all your nation is righteous people. V'gomer Masei Yadai L'Hitpa'er, these are the works of my hands with whom I'm proud of. Shakadosh Baruch Hu Mitpa'er U'Mishtabeach B'Yisrael, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so to speak, is proud of the Eden and praises himself with the Eden. So how could you go and speak against Eden, right? Even if you would say there are things to speak about. So there's ways to do it. There are things that need to be corrected. You need to help people improve, right? And again, be very careful. I'm only saying this as an example, There are circles, where they look at Jews who are not keeping Torah and mitzvahs, chas v'sholem, as Eisenin goyim, like chas v'sholem. They look, but that's so wrong. A Yid is 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 a Yid. A Yid is more than mitzvahs keriman. A Yid is full of mitzvahs like a pomegranate. A Yid is a Yid. And a Yid wants to serve Hashem, and a Yid wants to do Torah mitzvahs. And if you see what he's not doing, well, first of all, what did we learn? You have no idea what would you do if you had the same upbringing. You might be 100 times worse, God forbid. So don't judge the other person. But just know that a Yid has a neshama, and he wants to do tshuva. Once this guy from Italy came to the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and he said to the Rebbe that, he would like to be observant, but he has a girlfriend, she's not Jewish, and he just loves her so much, and he just doesn't know how he can possibly break up with her. The Rebbe said to him, I'm jealous of you. She says, what? She says, yeah, you have an opportunity to do tshuva in a way that I never had such an opportunity. So the guy was like, what? And that's what he needed to hear. And she dropped that relationship, and he just did tshuva and so on. Understand? Yeah, but you don't know what Rabbi Riskin tells the story. You ever see his book? What's the name of his book? It's a book of stories. What's it called? Do you know what I'm talking about? He has a story that he was Reb David Grossman. You know Reb David Grossman from Migdal Emek? I was never there. Have you been there? So Reb David Grossman, when he got married, his father was one of the 7 Dayanim of the Ezel Charedis here in Yerushalayim. He said they're Kardiner Chassidim, Haredi, like real Haredi, you know. And so when he got married, he went with his wife to the police station and he said, which town in Israel has the highest crime rate? And they told him Migdal Emek. So he and his wife said, okay, that's where we're going to live. He said, there's enough shtreimels in Yerushalayim. They don't need another shtreimel. Went to Migdal Emek, and he went into the bars, into the cafes, and he sat with the bums and the gangsters and this and that. Turned the whole town around. It's a major town of Torah learning, of schools, thousands of kids and Jewish girls and boys learning Torah from kindergarten on, high school, yeshivas, kollalim, everything. Turned around the whole town. So Rav Riskin tells the story that Rabbi Grossman came to him for a Shabbos when he was a rabbi in Manhattan. And there was a famous discotheque there.
54?
64, whatever, 54, Club 54, whatever it was called. And Friday night, says to Rabbi Riskin, let's take a walk after the Suda. And so Rabbi Riskin says, okay, let's go for a walk. So where do you want to go? She says, I want to walk on Broadway. And Rabbi Riskin was like, what? No, so he wants to go on Broadway. They go by that club. And there were, as you might imagine, there were a fair number of even Israelis and Americans. Let's go inside. They went inside. The music stopped. The music stopped. You know, because it was like the boys playing the music were our brothers, you know. And he starts to talk to the crowd. And Mamish, he was Mekar of a bunch of them just left right away after. And the next morning, the whole bunch of them came to shul, with Rabbi Riskin. But you can't just do that. You got to know how to do that, you know. But he Mamish, he did it, you know, because he really believed that every Yid wants to be Oved Hashem. He really believed that every Yid wants to. If you don't really believe that, right, then don't start up. It's a bigger mitzvah not to say anything.
I wanted to share with you what I'm feeling is the music behind the words. And,
Yeah.
And I relate this also to the feeling that I had when I was at for Brigham with the Rebbe.
Well, that's a big honor that you're saying that.
And that is tremendous love. Tremendous love, believable, without limitless love of the Jewish people and every Jew. And the love is what I feel is motivating everything all the ways that you can destroy.
These are the Rebbe's words that we're learning.
Deep
yeah, we're learning the Rebbe's words over here.
How do you say, love that's not limited.
Unconditional.
Unconditional love.
It's not easy. And you know, like a tzaddik is on that level all the time. But if somebody's not a tzaddik, like, you know, it's not easy to be at that level all the time. But at least, to know that tzaddikim are. Okay? Look at next page, Reish Pei Beis. The headline. הטענה אינה על היהודי, אלא על הקדוש ברוך הוא. The argument is not against the Yid, but rather against the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, that's already a scary headline, right? Make a big poster and hang it all over Lakewood. Okay? So the Rebbe explains, Hatana v'hatviyahi, the complaint and the demand, lo libnei Israel, is not against the Eden, ela la Kadosh Baruch Hu kiviyachol, so to speak, kiviyachol, as if we could speak that way. Okay? It's a complaint to Hashem, so to speak. Ki divrei Moshe Rabbeinu, ohavan shel Yisrael, like Moshe Rabbeinu, who loved the Eden, he says to Hashem, Lama, he says at the end of Parsha Shmois, why did you send me to speak to Paroi? Ever since you sent me to speak to Paroi, things have gotten worse. V'hatzeil lo hitzalta et amecha, and you haven't saved your people. U'kedivrei Gidon, and like Gidon says, lo mitzatnu kol zot, ve'aye kol niflootav asher siparnu lanu avotenu, and where are all those things all those miracles that we've heard about from our ancestors? They didn't happen to us. So what are all those miracles that our parents told us about? Halomi b'tzchaim he'elanu Hashem. Didn't Hashem take us out of Mitzrayim? So why are we now having these problems with the Midyanim? V'adarabah, and pink verkehrt, biglal zeh, dafke, because of this, because Moshe Rabbeinu and because Gidon were defending the Jews. Hashem says to Gidon, Vayifen Eilav, Hashem turned to him and he said, Lech bikochacha zeh, go with this strength. Which strength? B'koyach schut shelamadita al banai, with the koyach of the fact that you were melamed zechut, that you defended my children. And with this koyach, you will go v'hoshata et Yisrael, you will go and you will save the Yidden. V'alachat kama v'kama l'acharei kol hagzerot v'hashmadot shavru kol b'nei Yisrael b'meshech kol hadarot. And all the more so, after all the terrible decrees against the Jews, and after all the attempts that the Goyim made to force the Yidden to shmad, to give up their religion, that took place over all these generations, and especially after what's been done to the Jews in the last generation. It's absolutely certain and clear, we have to demand and we have to cry out to God al arichut hagalut, over the long exile. Ad Mosai, how much longer do we have to wait till Mashiach is going to come? Shal Yidei Zeh, and it's through crying out to the Rebbeinu Shalom, screaming, Ad Mosai, Ad Mosai, Ad Mosai, how much longer do we have to wait for the ultimate redemption? Shal Yidei Zeh, through this sincere crying out, Memaharim u'Mizarzim od yoter et hagula ha'amitit v'hashlema. Through doing this, we will hurry up and we'll make the ultimate, complete, true redemption come a lot more quickly. p.9. V'yesh lahosiv v'lahavhir, and we need to add and make it clear. Yeshnam ka'ele sherotzim litlot atzmam b'ilan gadol. There are those who want to hang themselves up on a big tree, Bamram, by their saying, Shederer Zo, that this way, Lidaber Dvarim Kashim, that is by speaking harsh words, Lafchid Ulayim Ba'onshim, that by scaring people and telling them, threatening them with punishments. He Shitat Musar, that this is the Shita, the approach of Musar, כדרכם של המגידים בדורות שלפני השואה, רחמנא ליצלן, like the Magidim, like the preachers used to do before the Holocaust, וטוענים שכל ספרי הנביאים מלאים בדברי תוכחה ואיומי עונשים, and they argue and they say this is the way to speak to people, to scare them, to threaten them, just like the prophets speak in the books of the prophets. So they're saying they have a basis for speaking this way. And the answer is like this. Concerning their argument that this is the shita, this is the approach of the whole Muslim movement. Besides the fact that in the latter generations, all Jewish communities have basically accepted the approach, the pathway of Hasidus. And we see clearly that this is the way to bring people close, to bring them close to their Father in heaven. And all the more so concerning children who've been captured by the Gentiles. Hafri, that speaking in the opposite way, in other words, by threatening and scaring people, all that it does is it makes people go even further away from Yiddishkeit. So besides the fact that we've seen that this is no longer the way to speak to people, furthermore, speaking Musar is basically against, it has to be according to the rules of the Torah. It has to be only if you're doing it with the conditions, the ways in which Musar is allowed to be given. And that's what he's going to continue with on the next page, which will continue in Yisrael Shem tomorrow. What are the conditions? How do you give Musar? Understand? There's a way to do it. There are conditions. So Yisrael Shem, that we'll learn tomorrow. Okay? And right at the end of the shiur. Okay. Hi, Itche. That's my brother. Hello. Itche. I don't hear you. Hello. So how do we go back to the Facebook? Okay, finish. Okay, ending my video. You're welcome. Hello, Itchy, how are you? Yeah. 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 Where at King's George are you? If your car is already parked, huh? Where, in a lot or something like that? You're next to Leva Years, not even it's less than 10 minutes. Where exactly are you? Okay, so at the corner there by Leva Year, right? In that building, okay. So, walk up the hill on the Tzara. Okay, you're at the corner of the Tzara. Everybody wants to be taught that. Go up the hill, flash the lights, keep walking up there, and by the time we get to the tree, I'll already meet you. But if you don't see it, then I'm going to that's the little fish, if you're not going to see it, you continue showing. Okay? What? It'll take you 2-3 minutes to get up there to the corner of the tower and see. Even it's okay, and it's safe. Okay? Go to the seat. Judy, I'm going to meet Ishim Pnina. They're coming up with Taro, okay? They're walking up from King George. I'm going to go meet them. Bye. It's on YouTube. Okay.